Pedagogy of School Subject, History, Unit 3, Learning Resources. We are looking at the important aspects of a history textbook. A history textbook is a very important tool, and it is important to both teachers as well as students. Every good textbook has two aspects: internal aspects, which mainly take care of content and presentation, and external aspects such as the overall appearance, the cost of the books, and so on. Let us first look at the internal aspects of a history textbook. We have to look at the content of the textbook. Content refers to what the textbook contains. Content must be free from bias. All content in a history textbook must be based on authentic and reliable sources such as archives, research-based material, or writings of historians. The author must avoid projecting his or her own views through the content. Content should be suitable to the age and maturity of the learner. Generally, it is the curriculum framework which gives us the broad areas of content to be included. So the textbook must be written keeping in mind the aims and objectives of the subject. It should be based on the curriculum framework that is prescribed. A good history textbook must contain suitable questions for evaluation. These questions can be included as an exercise at the end of every chapter. Some textbooks have questions in the form of separate boxes along with the main content. The next aspect of a good textbook is the activities that it contains. These days, textbooks are written in a constructivist style. So there can be activities included within the textbook to ensure that students are involved in active exploration of the content. You have some examples displayed for you on this slide. A good textbook must provide content for correlation between different subjects. For example, you can see the box here wherein there is scope to correlate history along with literature, or in the box related to horsepower, history is correlated with science. A good textbook is always based on the principles of completeness and interest. It must appeal to the learner, and therefore content must be presented in an interesting manner, and it should be complete in meaning. As far as a history textbook is concerned, historical thinking must be developed through the textbook. A textbook must encourage learners to go beyond what is in the textbook. They must be encouraged to learn and read more material. So self-study matter, websites, a list of reference books will all help to take the learner to a level that goes beyond the textbook. For example, one of the activities in the textbook is collect information about various festivals, or visit prayer houses of different religions and describe what you see. Yet another activity states collect information from the Panchatantra and organize a skit on any story that you read. So such kind of activities help the learner to go beyond what is in the textbook. A textbook must be divided into appropriate units, and units in turn can contain different chapters. Units should be logically arranged. Whereas history is concerned, chronology is a very important aspect, and therefore, as far as possible, the chronological sequence must be maintained. Students should be able to connect the content with their present life. A textbook is also a good platform to inculcate values. Look at these activities included in a history textbook, where students are asked to find out about public welfare activities carried out by people representatives in their own area. So such kind of activities help them to connect content with their present life. Language of the textbook should be suitable to the learner. It is possible that some terms are used and these terms are not familiar to the learner. In such a case, a glossary of terms may be provided. For example, in a chapter that describes the Chola period, words like Brahmadeya, which was land gifted to Brahmins, or Devdan, land gifted to temples, are new words for the learner, and therefore an appropriate glossary is provided. Suitable maps, pictures, photographs, sketches, and concept maps all add to the effectiveness of the textbook, and they also help to summarize what the learner has learned. A textbook must be attractive enough for the learner. This is especially true in case of lower classes. So a colorful and well-presented textbook will be liked by students. Textbooks should be revised from time to time, and up-to-date information must be provided. This is especially true in case of political science, as many changes occur and content requires to be updated. Font size, size of pictures, and maps should be suitable. Utmost care must be taken to provide accurate maps and sketches. References, appendices, bibliography should be of practical value to the learner as well as to the teacher. A textbook must ensure that suitable reading material is easily available and suited to the context of the learner. We now look at the external aspects of a good history textbook. A good textbook must have an attractive cover page, a colorful cover page. It should have suitable size, something that's easy to handle and carry to class. The number of pages also should not be too many, otherwise the book will become too bulky. The book should be easy to handle. The quality of paper used should be good, and the binding should be good as well. All details such as the title of the book, the class, the list of authors, the publisher, and an appropriate address for sending feedback should all be made available in a history textbook. The book should be reasonably priced. We now look at how to detect and deal with bias in textbooks. All textbooks should be written in a way that they do not contain any kind of inflammatory language. However, if such kind of language does creep in, then the teacher should identify such paragraphs where there is likely to be inflammatory language. Another aspect is where a certain class, a person, or an organization is over-elevated or demeaned. This will amount to bias in the history textbook. The textbook should not contain partial views of any event or person. No falsifying evidences should be there to propagate one's own ideologies. And content should not be selective or imbalanced. In order to overcome bias in history textbooks, the teachers should provide references so that students can refer and know the truth. They can cross-check the truth. All wrong, misleading information should be corrected in the classroom by quoting and providing correct information. Create an atmosphere for open discussion that is based on logical and critical thinking. The teacher must also set aside his or her own ideology and beliefs and treat the subject in a fair and non-prejudiced manner. Promote an atmosphere in your classroom where students' views are heard and respected. Students must be made to realize that history is a soft discipline, and therefore understandings and perspectives can vary. There can be subjectivity in this discipline, but as far as possible, one should try to be objective and one should be unbiased where history is concerned. There cannot be just one truth, and therefore efforts have to be made to provide multiple views. Students must learn to distinguish facts from opinions. Very often biased views are opinions. Therefore, the teacher should make efforts to provide facts or truths to the students. Students should also be made to realize that facts should not be distorted just to make place for one's personal opinions. If a teacher follows all this, then bias in history textbooks can be easily overcome. Thank you.